Hello, everyone, and welcome to Improvate's Life-Saving Technologies 2021 International Conference. I'm Shanna Fold. Improvate is a platform for creating long-lasting connections, enabling change makers in technology and decision makers in government to make progress through innovation. Improvate is all about finding solutions and sparking collaborations that improve the quality of life for people all around the world. Today's broadcast will be dedicated, literally, to life-saving medical technologies, from bioengineering and cell therapy to medical devices and management of medical data. Advanced medical technologies enable us to find extraordinary solutions for diagnosing, monitoring, and treating disease, as we've seen during the COVID-19 pandemic. New medical technologies have provided rapid solutions for vaccination against disease. Artificial intelligence and machine learning allow us to use medical data to speed up diagnostic processes and drug development, and to create personalized treatments. Bioengineering and cell therapies are creating exciting new treatments for cancer. Today, we'll be hearing from leading experts in the field and from top Israeli technology companies: Madanet, IAI Alta Systems, G Medical, Telesofia, Pathologica, Inocan, Pharma, BioLite, iMedis, Sivan, Rhythm Life Sciences, Kadima STEM, Pulse and More, Vayar, Healables, Precise Bio, Enlivex, Therapeutics, and Hospital. As always, watching along with us are representatives of investment funds from around the world who are looking to invest in Israeli innovation. Our first panel today is on data management and patient communication. Data management is today an integral part of how healthcare organizations are run. High-quality data helps healthcare providers deliver better care, while machine learning and artificial intelligence can interpret data to provide clinical support. With us here in the studio are Professor Zev Rothstein, Director of Hadassah Medical Center, Orit Farkash-Hacohen, Israel's Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology. Joining us via video link are former Bulgarian President Rosen Plevneliev, Dr. Andrei Baciu, Secretary of State within the Romanian Ministry of Health, and Nikolai Hadjonachev, General Manager of Teva Pharmaceuticals, Bulgaria. President Rosen Plevneliev is also a member of Improvate's advisory board. President Plevneliev, great to have you with us. Again, it is an honor to have you.
Good morning. So proud to be with you. Good morning. And let me share with you something I consider to be extremely important. Madam Minister, of course, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen all over the world watching that great conference of Improvate. After, let's say, talking to everybody who is anybody in the world, talking to heads of state, head of government, talking to billionaires, influential people that are really changing the world, I was always asking the question, tell me, which is the biggest industry of the future? What are the industries of the future? Which is the biggest one of them? And actually, I was really surprised to understand that the biggest of all industries that come ahead of us is everything linked to human health, life sciences. And we are going to have extraordinary and very interesting conference today exactly about the biggest and the most important industry of the future that is linked to how people live, how long they live, and hopefully everyone on the planet could have a healthy and a life that is full of content and of joy. So thank you for addressing the most important issue. And thank you, Israel, because again, you're on the cutting edge of the biggest and the most important industry of the future. And we listen very carefully. We're not going to be the best, but learning from the best will help us being forward into delivering probably the most important thing, giving a perspective for every human being to have a healthy and happy life. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those warm opening remarks. First, we're going to start with Israel's Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Orit Farkash-Hacohen. It is such an honor to have you. We recently saw how Israel's extensive digitalized data helped it carry out perhaps the world's fastest vaccination drive, and how the Health Management Organization system helped Israel provide vital information on the effectiveness of vaccines. So what we want to ask first is, was Israel's unique data assets that helped secure the deal with Pfizer. What does Israel need to do to maintain this position on the world stage?
First of all, you are totally right. Israel was among the fast leading in pace of vaccination. And I think that until today, we are a little of a microcosmos of like a little, everybody is looking at what's happening in Israel as a test case to the coronavirus vaccination operation.
Professor Ze'ev Rothstein is one of Israel's most senior health professionals. He joined the Hadassah Medical Organization after a long and distinguished career at the Chaim Shiba Medical Center at Tel HaShomer, where he began as a senior cardiologist in 1977 and served as its director general from 2004 to 2016. Thank you for being with us. How does better data translate into better care?
Imagine a 50-year-old lady walking in the street and collapse. Immediately, we dispatch, whether it's Magen David Adom in Israel, 911, etc. When they already arrive to her, they know all the history, they know the suspected diagnosis, and they know exactly right now that she even is stroke. And they don't waste any time. Immediately starting to treat her properly, and she is saved. And her arteries are open again in the nearby hospital, and she's walking back home.
Joining us now in the studio is Professor Roni Gamzu, director of the Tel Aviv Sourasky Medical Center. Thank you. It is an honor to have you with us.
Good afternoon.
All right. Now, adding to the Sourasky Medical Center, Roni Gamzu, in gynecology, you've worked as well as associate professor in public health and business administration, and you've served as a director general. But what we previously were wanting to get to is a question for you about the convergence of health and technology. Can you tell us from your experience in these positions as coordinator and the director of Ecolove Hospital, how real-time data management and patient communication played out during the current pandemic and how this is saving lives? And we know that you were a big professional in the COVID scene here in the last year and a half. So tell us about that.
You know what? It's amazing because it's, I guess, the first opportunity that we had a new virus, a new kind of a disease. We didn't know nothing about it. And we had to treat, and we had to understand the transmission, what is going on. At the same time, to give the best medical care, at the same time, to invent the cure or the vaccine for that. We only could do that with the convergence of data, real-world data, from human contact in order to understand where is the next cases are going to happen, how we're going to treat, what is the best treatment, and at the same time, developing the vaccine and understanding the effectiveness of the vaccine.
And that today is Precise Bio, which is bringing the paradigm of regenerative medicine together with 3D bioprinting to engineer organs. Precise Bio's disruptive technology aims to achieve a world with no need for organ harvesting, endless waiting lists, and immunosuppressor drugs that require patients to save their lives with these organ-saving technologies. Autologous cell sourcing, innovative biolinks, printing of organs, and development of bioreactors leading to the potential transplant of a patient's own organ in the future. Let's watch a pre-recorded interview with CEO Aryeh Bat.
Aryeh Bat is CEO and co-founder of Precise Bio, which is leading a revolution in the field of bioconvergence and tissue engineering. Precise Bio's unique 3D printing technology, together with cell biology, biomaterials, and a comprehensive multidisciplinary approach, enable the delivery of 4D biofabrication tissues to the clinic. Now, let's welcome Aryeh to the studio. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So what is so unique about Precise Bio's technology, and how does this lead to the revolution of 3D printed tissues and organs that can be transplanted into actual human beings?
I would say that the uniqueness of Precise comes in three main components. The first one is 3D printing, where Precise developed a unique technology that essentially can fabricate tissues in the same anatomical structure as they are in the body. The uniqueness comes from the fact that we can deposit cell by cell And this is the main component of building a tissue in the same anatomical structure as it is in the natural tissue. And it enables to achieve essentially tissue that can be transplanted and will function in the body. The second component, and our tissue in our body are not only comprised from cells, but also from biomaterials. And here we have a technology that essentially can build and structure the tissue, not only with the cells, but also with the extracellular matrix, which is the material that comprises and helps us structure the structure of the tissues. And bringing all of these technologies together in a multidisciplinary method really can fabricate tissues that will be clinical worthy and will be able to function inside the body.
Wow. Sounds like some really game-changing technology. I wonder how you see 3D bioprinting changing the world of healthcare, and what is the exact vision of Precise Bio in terms of this context?
So if we look back in the last 2 decades, these technologies related to regenerative medicine and tissue engineering have been evolving. It started out from the science, moving through the technology, and to a maturation phase. We're talking about cell biology, stem cells, that if we look 20 years ago, 3 types of cells in the body, we would be able to make them expand and proliferate. Now I would say that there might be 3 types of cells in the body that we don't know yet how to expand. That's number one. The second one is the biomaterials. Over the last years, biomaterials have become commercial available. And then the third thing is that the tissue engineering concepts have been maturing and being developed over the time. If we look back 20 years ago, my partner, Dr. Anthony Atala from the Wake Forest Institute of Regenerative Medicine, one of the leading scientists in the field, he transplanted an engineered organ in a 5-year-old kid. What he did, he took a biopsy from the patient's cells, expanded them, took a biomaterial, a biodegradable material that will later degrade inside the body. He coated that biodegradable material with the patient's own cells, and he took this organ that he fabricated in the lab, transplanted it in the patient. This kid now is 25 years old.
Wow.
And here we ask the question, okay, why don't we see these technologies today in the market?
Sure.
And this is where Precise steps in. The fact that we can fabricate the tissue in a manual way doesn't mean that we can bring it to the clinic. We have to have a sustainable, manufacturable, and quality-controlled process. And here, 3D printing comes in, steps in together with those tissue engineering technologies, the cell biology, the biomaterials, and all of these together can bring a manufacturable, sustainable, and quality-controlled tissue to the hands of the clinicians.
The potential here sounds extremely incredible. What are the first organs that Precise Bio is developing, and at what stage are they? Can you tell us some examples?
So the first area that we're focusing is an ophthalmology field. We have 2 tissues that are fairly advanced in preclinical studies, and a third one that next week we are transplanting. Wow. We are talking about corneal tissue that is transplanted today from cadavers, where we will replace that with a biofabricated, a 3D printed tissue. And when we think of 3D printing, so what we do is we take a 3D image, put it into the computer slices it down to 2D layers, and this is what is done in every 3D printing. And when we look at the eye, that's the structure of an eye. It's really layer by layer. So it really is intuitive to start with something that it's very relatively simple. The cell technology is known, minimal types of cells, just 2 types of cells and some biomaterials. And this is the first tissue that we started to work on. The ophthalmology field is very innovative. It knows how to adopt innovation much more than other areas in healthcare. And in addition to that, from the business aspect, it's a very large market. So we are currently at the stage of preclinical studies. As I mentioned, we have 2 cornea tissues that are in preclinical studies and showing very good functionality. A 3rd tissue we have transplanted 2 weeks, and we are doing a more extensive transplant in the coming days, which is related to the retinal tissue. And the company is really now in the transition from preclinical through the regulatory phase and moving into the clinic.
So as you just mentioned, the company is currently focusing on ophthalmology, cornea, and retina tissue. Will these technologies be valid in other fields in the future?
So thank you for that question, because we're not just an ophthalmology company. I mean, that's our focus now, and we have a pipeline of products in the ophthalmology. In addition to the products that we have currently in the preclinical stage, we have other tissues that are on the way also. But I think that really what we are leading here, and we will be seeing a new era of bioprinting, where tissues will be bioprinted and transplanted in the body. The same technologies that we currently implement in the ophthalmology field will be able to be implemented in other areas. Think of the fact that your printer at home has a red and green and blue cartridge. Mm-hmm. In our printer today, we have endothelial cells of the cornea, we have epithelium cells, we have collagen, we have other materials.
Not quite the same kind of printer.
It's by the way, it's very similar, but the materials are different. And now, instead of using the materials for the cornea and the retina, we can use cells for the heart, cardiac tissue. We will be able to use these same technologies, the same processes, also for orthopedic and other areas. So this is really just the beginning of this new era of 3D biofabricated tissues. But in the future, we will see this in other areas, and Precise will be expanding into other areas. And I would assume that 10, 15 years today, there will also be full organs, complex organs, in other fields, not just in ophthalmology.
Well, we're all looking forward to seeing what comes of this technology. Aryeh, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
All right, well, that is it for Improvate's Life-Saving Technologies Conference. We've looked today into the fascinating future of medicine, and we've heard from top experts throughout Israel and Europe, and from leading Israeli technology companies. Improvate is all about access and connections, exposing Israeli tech to leaders in governments and companies around the world to promote business whose goal is innovation. The exposure right here at this conference is a first step. The next step, maybe? Delegations and real-world business connections are next. We want to thank you all for taking part, and we hope that this is just the start of doing business together, making technology accessible to all, and improving the lives of people across the world. That's it for now. I'm Shanna Fold. Thanks so much for joining with us.